I always thought I had it all. A job that paid well, friends I could trust, and Lena, my fiancée, my supposed perfect match. Some days I'd sit in my apartment, coffee in hand, and just stare at our pictures on the wall, smiling at myself for being lucky enough to have her. "You're lucky, you know that," Ryan said one evening over a beer. "I know," I admitted. "I wake up every day thinking the same thing. She's incredible." Ryan leaned back, squinting at me like he could see through my optimism. "Incredible, yeah, but do you ever feel like she's hiding something?" I laughed it off. "Hiding something? Ryan, come on. She's open, fun, sweet. What could she possibly hide?" He shook his head slowly. "I'm just saying. Trust your gut. Sometimes things aren't what they seem." I waved him off. Ryan was a great friend, but he had this habit of overthinking everything. I wanted to believe him, but every time I looked at Lena, all I saw was warmth, laughter, and the way she made our apartment feel like a home. "You're overthinking," I texted Lena later that night. She replied almost instantly, "Dinner ready. Don't make me wait." I smiled at her message and made my way to the kitchen. She was standing there, apron on, flour on her hands, hair falling in that careless way she somehow always got right. "Hey," I said, kissing her cheek. "Hey," she replied, her smile bright. "You had a long day?" "Yeah, but now it's better." I set my bag down, leaning against the counter. "You smell amazing." "What's cooking?" "Just pasta. Your favorite." She winked, and my heart did that stupid thing it always did. We ate in comfortable silence at first. I listened to the soft clink of her fork against the plate, the occasional hum as she ate. Then she leaned closer, her voice playful. "Ryan called today. Said you're working too much," I chuckled. He's always on my case. "You know Ryan?" She nodded but glanced at me with that faint look she sometimes got when she was thinking about something else, something I couldn't reach. "Yeah." "Ryan," she said softly, "everything okay?" I asked, picking up on it immediately. She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Of course. Just tired, that's all." I nodded, but a tiny seed of doubt planted itself in the back of my mind. It was nothing really, just a flicker. But it stayed there, quietly nagging. Later, I watched her scroll through her phone while I cleaned the kitchen. Every notification she got made her jump slightly, her face brightening or frowning, never letting me see what it was. I tried to ignore it, told myself I was paranoid. "Are you texting someone?" I asked casually. She looked up, startled, then laughed. "No. Why would I do that?" "Just curious," I said, trying to keep it light. "Curiosity killed the cat, you know," she teased, putting her phone down and taking my hand. "Come on, don't be like that," I laughed, the sound hollow in my chest. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to see the life I imagined. Perfect, simple, full of love. But my mind wouldn't let go of that tiny flicker. The next day, Ryan called me during lunch. "So have you noticed anything weird?" he asked before I even said hello. "I don't know what you mean," I said, though my stomach tightened. "Just things, small things. She's not herself sometimes. Or maybe you're just blind because you're in love." I laughed, but it didn't reach my eyes. "Maybe you're right," I admitted reluctantly. "Or maybe I'm just careful about what I notice." He paused. "Just keep your eyes open. That's all I'm saying." I hung up and stared out the office window, trying to push the thought away. Lena and I had plans that night. A movie, takeout, the kind of normal routine that felt extraordinary because it was ours. When I saw her waiting outside, bundled in her coat, her smile lit up my world, just like always. "Hey you," I said as I got in the car. "Hey," she said, her hand brushing mine. "Ready for our night?" "Always," I said, meaning it. I wanted to believe it was perfect. I needed it to be perfect. But deep down, a whisper kept coming back, soft and uneasy. Sometimes perfect lives hide cracks you can't see. Until it's too late. I thought I trusted Lena completely. I really did. But that night, as I walked into our apartment earlier than expected, something felt off. The door was slightly ajar. My heart pounded. I stepped in, calling out, "Lena?" No answer. Just the faint sound of laughter from the living room. I froze. It wasn't her laugh. It was higher, louder, teasing. I crept forward and saw her, Lena, sitting on the couch with another woman I hadn't met before. Glasses of wine in hand, phones buzzing on the coffee table. The other woman waved. "Hi, you must be..." I didn't answer. My mind went blank. Lena's eyes widened. "What are you doing here?" I felt something twist inside me. You said you were out with the girls, I said, my voice barely steady. Sophie, the other woman, laughed, sliding her phone into her bag. Oh, come on. Don't be mad. We were just having fun. Fun? I repeated, disbelief cracking my voice. You lied. Both of you. Lena opened her mouth, then closed it. Her hands trembled slightly. I didn't think you... Didn't think I'd what? I stepped closer, trying to keep my anger from boiling over. Notice you sneaking around? Pretending like nothing's wrong? Lena, I trusted you. I just needed a night off, she said softly. It's nothing serious. I swear, I wanted to believe her. I wanted to calm down and laugh it off, but the evidence was staring me in the face. Messages on Sophie's phone I'd caught a glimpse of, texts with times and places she'd said were girls' night plans. Every small lie she'd told came rushing back, the late returns, the phone calls she hid, the way she suddenly seemed distant. Why, Lena? I asked quietly. Why lie about something so simple? She avoided my eyes. I don't know, I just didn't want to fight. I shook my head. Don't want to fight? You think lying is better than being honest with me? Do you even hear yourself? Sophie leaned back, smirking. Look, he's overreacting. It's just a night out, chill, I glared at her. Just a night out? You were lying to me. That's not just a night out. Lena's voice shook. I didn't mean to hurt you. I swear. I laughed bitterly, the sound hollow. Not mean to hurt me, Lena? It's too late for that. I stormed into the kitchen, hands on the counter trying to steady my breathing. My mind replayed every moment I'd ignored, every small lie I'd brushed off. She had been distant, distracted, and I'd told myself I was imagining things. I remembered last week when she said she was at Rachel's place, but I saw her car outside somewhere else. I remembered her saying her phone died, but the text messages I glimpsed proved otherwise. Everything I thought I knew was unraveling. Lena, I said, softer now, almost pleading. Why didn't you tell me the truth? I didn't want to lose you, she admitted. I thought if I just kept it small, it wouldn't matter. It matters, I said, voice breaking. Everything matters when you lie. Every little thing. Every tiny secret. Do you understand that? She nodded, tears brimming. I'm sorry. I really am, please. Don't hate me, hate? I shook my head, gripping the edge of the counter. I don't even know what I feel right now. Hurt, confused, angry, betrayed. And the worst part? I don't think I can just forget this. Sophie rolled her eyes. He's being dramatic. Seriously. I turned to her, fury flashing. You stay out of this. This isn't your fight. Lena's face crumpled, guilt and shame written all over her. I wanted to scream, cry, and leave all at once. I wanted her to understand how much trust she'd broken, how small lies had become a chasm between us. I didn't know what would happen next, but one thing was clear. The life I thought I had was gone, and nothing would ever feel the same again. I couldn't believe what I'd seen. Lena, sitting with someone else, lying to me like I was stupid. My hands shook as I picked up my phone and called Ryan. I think she's cheating, I said before I even thought it through. Ryan's voice was calm but sharp. Calm down. Tell me what happened. I ran through everything. I came home early and she was with another woman, laughing, drinking, and then I saw the messages. Texts that didn't make sense, lies, everything. Breathe, he interrupted. Listen to me. You confront her now, not later. Don't explode, just get the truth out. I hung up, heart pounding. I walked into the living room. Lena looked up, startled, panic flashing in her eyes. I can explain, she said before I even spoke. Explain? I laughed bitterly. Explain this, Lena. Explain why you lied. Why you pretended to go out with the girls when you were meeting him. Her face went pale. It's not what you think. Not what I think? I felt the words burn in my throat. I saw the messages. I saw your car outside that restaurant. I saw you laughing with someone else while I trusted you. Sophie, leaning against the wall, smirked. Calm down. It's not that serious. You're overreacting. Overreacting? I shouted. You don't get it, Sophie. This is my life, my trust. How dare you? Lena grabbed my arm. Stop, please, just listen. I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't want to hurt me? I stepped back, my chest heaving. You lied. Every time you said I'm tired or just hanging out with Rachel, you were lying. How could you do that to me? Sophie rolled her eyes. It's not the end of the world. She's allowed to have her fun. Her fun? I laughed through clenched teeth. Her fun is destroying everything we had. Lena, I trusted you more than anyone, more than myself. And you threw it away for, what, a night out? It's not just a night out, Lena snapped, her voice shaking. It was complicated. I didn't mean to. Complicated? I yelled, pacing the room. What's complicated about lying? About sneaking around? About pretending you're with friends while you're meeting him? Lena, look at me! Look at what you've done. She covered her face with her hands. I didn't want it to happen. I was confused. I shook my head, disbelief cutting through me. Confused? We promised each other forever, Lena. We built a life together, and you threw it away for confusion? Ryan's voice echoed in my head, calm and grounding. Stay calm. Listen, don't let anger control you. I took a shaky breath. I can't just stay calm, I admitted aloud, my voice cracking. You broke me. You broke everything I believed in. I don't know if I can ever trust anyone again. Not you? Not anyone, Sophie scoffed. Dramatic much? Seriously, you're making this bigger than it is. I turned to her, fury blazing. Stay out of this, Sophie. This isn't your life to ruin. Lena sobbed quietly. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, please. Can we fix this? Fix this? I repeated, voice trembling. Do you even hear yourself? Fix this? You can't just say sorry and expect everything to be okay. You lied to me every single day. Every laugh, every text, every excuse, lies. And you think a simple sorry will undo that? Her hands shook as she reached for mine. I love you. I made a mistake, please. I pulled away. Love? If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. If you loved me, you wouldn't have betrayed me. Don't use love as an excuse. I paced the apartment, memories of our time together flashing like painful images. The first time she said she loved me. The late night talks, the plans we made for our future. Every one of those moments now tainted with doubt, betrayal, and anger. I can't believe this, I whispered to myself. I trusted you. Everything. Ryan's words came back, steady and strong. You need to protect yourself. Don't let her destroy you. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm inside. You know what, Lena? I need space. I need time. I don't know if I can ever forgive you. I just can't. Her face fell. Sophie rolled her eyes again, muttering something I didn't care to hear. Lena's sobs filled the apartment as I grabbed my coat. I'm leaving, I said. I can't do this tonight. Please. Don't go, Lena pleaded. I have to, I said firmly. I have to think. I have to breathe. I need to figure out who I am without you lying to me. I stepped out into the night, the cold hitting me like a slap. My chest hurt, my mind raced, but somewhere inside a spark of clarity burned. I wouldn't let this destroy me. Not completely. But one thing was certain. The person I knew as Lena was gone. And I was left staring at the pieces of a life I thought was perfect, now shattered beyond repair. I woke up the next morning to an empty apartment. Lena's side of the bed was cold, untouched, like a symbol of everything I'd lost. I sat there for a long time, staring at the sheets, my hands gripping the edge of the mattress. I couldn't stop replaying last night. Her lies, the confrontation, the way Sophie had smirked like she owned the world. My phone buzzed. A message from Rachel. Coffee? You need a friend, I exhaled. I needed a friend. More than I wanted to admit. I met her at our usual cafe. She spotted me immediately, eyes narrowing. You look terrible, she said bluntly. I feel worse, I muttered, rubbing my temples. Sit, she ordered, already signaling for the waiter. Spill it. I let it all out. The betrayal, the lies, the confrontation. Rachel listened, nodding but not interrupting, her presence steady. You're allowed to be angry, she said finally. But don't let anger turn into something it shouldn't. Revenge, plotting. That'll eat you alive, I frowned. Revenge is the only thing that makes sense right now. How do you just move on when someone destroys everything you believed in? Rachel leaned forward. Because you have to. You survive or you let her win. You can't control her choices, only your own. I chewed on that, staring at the coffee in front of me. Survival. Moving on. Maybe she was right. But it hurt so badly. Later, I walked through the apartment, everything a reminder of Lena. Her jacket on the chair. The mug she loved to use. The small framed photo from our trip to the coast, smiling at the memory of what I thought was love. I whispered to the empty room, everything's tainted now. Every memory. Every little thing. I thought about the lies, the texts I'd seen, the nights she'd gone out. A pit formed in my stomach. I wanted answers. I wanted justice. But I also wanted to disappear from it all, hide from the world that suddenly felt cold and cruel. Rachel had texted again. Therapy session today? It could help. I hesitated but agreed. Sitting in that quiet room, talking to someone who didn't know me, I felt a strange release. I trusted her, I said aloud. I trusted her more than anyone, and now I don't even know who I am without that trust. The therapist asked me to focus on myself, on rebuilding. I wanted to tell them that rebuilding felt impossible, that the apartment, the gifts, the little things, they were all reminders of her betrayal. But I also realized something. Lena's life was continuing as if nothing happened. I had seen her Instagram stories, laughing, partying, smiling at someone else. The arrogance in her eyes, the way she flaunted her happiness, it burned me. I muttered under my breath, how can she act like this? How can she be fine? Rachel's voice came to me over the phone later. She's fine because she doesn't have to deal with the aftermath in the way you do. That doesn't mean you shouldn't focus on your life. You owe yourself more than bitterness. I sat on the couch staring at the framed photo again. My hands trembled slightly. I don't even know if I want to forgive her, I whispered. And yet, holding on to this anger is exhausting. I thought of revenge, subtle ways to make her regret. But every idea I entertained felt hollow, like it would never fill the void she left. Rachel's words echoed in my mind. You survive, or you let her win. I glanced around the apartment, memories everywhere. I touched the mug she used, then put it down. I didn't want to erase the past, I couldn't, but I had to find a way to reclaim it. To reclaim myself, I whispered again to the empty room. I'll figure this out. I have to. Outside, the city moved on. People laughed, cars honked, life continued without pause. And so would I. Somehow, I didn't know how yet. But for the first time since the betrayal, I felt a flicker of determination. Maybe it wasn't about revenge. Maybe it was about surviving, about finding myself again. About proving, mostly to myself, that I could move forward without her controlling my thoughts, my emotions, my life. The apartment felt quieter, the air heavier with the weight of truth. But I was still standing. And somehow, that mattered. I didn't recognize the man staring back at me in the mirror that morning. My eyes were tired, sure, but there was something sharper now, something steadier beneath the exhaustion. Lena's betrayal had left scars, but I realized I couldn't spend forever nursing them. Coffee? Marcus's voice broke my thoughts as he appeared in my office. Yeah, thanks, I said, forcing a smile. He leaned against the desk, grinning like he owned the room. You've been buried in work since everything fell apart. You need a break. I don't need a break, I said, though my chest felt tight. I need clarity. That's the same thing, he countered. Clarity comes when you step out of the rubble. Trust me. Marcus had a way of saying things that made me feel like he understood everything without judgment. I didn't know if it was his confidence or the way he made me think, but I was drawn to it. Later that week, I met Alex at a business mixer Marcus insisted I attend. She was different, sharp, independent, eyes that seemed to see right through me. She caught me staring and smiled, not in a flattering way, but in a way that challenged me. You look like you've been through hell, she said, raising an eyebrow. You could say that, I admitted, feeling an odd sense of relief at her directness, yeah? She leaned closer, curiosity clear in her voice. Care to explain, or do I have to guess? I laughed softly. Let's just say, someone I trusted completely turned out to be someone else entirely. Alex's expression softened, though her eyes stayed sharp. Ouch, that's rough. But you're here, so I'm guessing you survived. That's a start. We talked for hours, skipping the shallow small talk. She challenged my assumptions, asked questions that made me think in ways I hadn't in months. I found myself smiling, genuinely smiling for the first time in weeks. Marcus pulled me aside later. See what I mean? Surround yourself with people who push you, challenge you. That's how you move forward, I nodded. I know, it's just hard to let go of the anger. The betrayal. Let it fuel you, he said, eyes gleaming. Not destroy you. You're smarter than that. I spent the next few days reclaiming control over my life. Work became more than a distraction. It became a way to prove to myself I could still achieve, still thrive. I tackled projects I'd been putting off, stayed late at the office, and found satisfaction in small wins. One evening, Marcus invited me to a dinner with some of his contacts. Alex was there again, and we ended up in a corner, talking about everything from business strategies to books we loved. She was relentless, probing, teasing, and I loved it. "You've changed," she said at one point, her tone almost playful. "You're not the same guy I met last week." "I had to change," I admitted. "Some things force you to grow. I'm still figuring out what that means exactly." "Growth is messy," she said, "but it's worth it." I thought about Lena, about Sophie, about every night I'd spent replaying their lies in my head. And for the first time, I realized that while anger still lingered, it didn't control me. It was a tool now, a reminder to protect myself, not a chain to keep me trapped in the past. That night, walking home, I glanced at my apartment. The memories were still there, the mugs, the photos, the gifts. They didn't hurt as much anymore. They were reminders, not shackles. Marcus called me the next day. "Meeting at the new office site. Let's see what you can do with it," I agreed. Standing in that space, planning, organizing, dreaming, I felt alive. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was building. And in a strange way, Lena's absence fueled me, pushed me to reclaim what I'd lost. Alex joined me at the site, notebook in hand, challenging every idea I proposed. "No, that won't work," she'd say, eyes sharp. "Think bigger. Think smarter." I found myself smiling again, exhilarated by the challenge. For the first time, I realized I didn't need Lena's validation. I didn't need anyone's approval to feel alive or capable. I had myself. That night, after we wrapped up, she nudged me playfully. "You've got fire," she said. "Don't let anyone or anything take it from you." "I won't," I said, heart steady. "Not again." Walking home alone, I felt a strange combination of hope and lingering anger. The betrayal was still there, a faint shadow, but it no longer defined me. I had new people, new opportunities, and a sense of control I hadn't felt in months. Somewhere deep inside, I knew this was just the beginning. The ashes of my old life had given me something unexpected: clarity, purpose, and the realization that I could rebuild stronger than before, and maybe, just maybe, I could face Lena again without being broken. I noticed it the first time at the cafe. Lena walked in, arm-linked with someone new, her smile effortless. But something was off. She glanced at me just for a second, and her expression flickered. Curiosity, maybe regret. I didn't acknowledge her. I sipped my coffee, letting the moment settle. "She's here," Sophie whispered behind me, clearly irritated. "Not my problem," I muttered, keeping my eyes on the table. Acting calm, Sophie's foot tapped the floor, impatience radiating. You're not even looking at her." "Isn't that weird?" "Not weird. Empowering," I said, leaning back. "I'm done giving her attention." "She made her choices," Sophie huffed. "Typical." "You think ignoring her hurts her?" "It won't," I smiled faintly. "Watch and see. Actions speak louder than words." Lena's eyes darted toward me again. This time longer. I caught the faint tightening of her jaw, the hesitation. She didn't approach. She couldn't. And the thought made my chest swell with a quiet satisfaction. Later, I ran into Marcus at the office. "You're different," he said, grinning. More assertive. "I like it. I'm learning," I admitted. "Learning what control really feels like." "Good," he said. "Use it. Subtlety is your weapon." I thought about Lena, about the small ways I could influence what she thought of me without being obvious. I started posting updates on social media, subtle but telling, accomplishments, meetings with Alex, hints at a new life filled with opportunity. One post in particular caught her eye, I'm sure. A photo of me at the charity gala, looking confident, smiling with Marcus and Alex. Lena's face must have registered something. I could almost see it in the way Sophie messaged me later. "She's noticing." "She saw your post," I didn't reply. Let her stew. Let her realize I wasn't broken, wasn't waiting for her, and certainly wasn't under her control anymore. The power shift wasn't just emotional. It started manifesting in subtle ways socially. Lena tried showing up at the bar where Marcus and I were meeting with colleagues. She lingered at the edge, sipping her drink, watching. I didn't approach her. Instead, I focused on the conversation, laughing, strategizing, moving forward. Sophie stomped toward me later, her frustration barely contained. She's acting like you're everywhere she looks. It's ridiculous," I leaned in, lowering my voice. It's not ridiculous. It's karma, Sophie. Simple, quiet, effective. She thought she controlled me. She thought I'd crumble. Now she watches me live what she lost. Sophie's mouth opened, then closed. She scowled but said nothing. I let her stew in it. Let her see that her attempts to manipulate Lena didn't work. That she too had miscalculated. At lunch the next day, I caught Lena staring at me again. This time she didn't look away immediately. Her curiosity was plain, mingled with something else. Regret, fear, maybe shame. I held her gaze for a second before looking back at my phone, pretending to scroll. She approached after a few minutes. I saw the photos, she said softly. I imagine you did, I replied, calm, collected. And you look happy. Different, she said, voice quiet. That's because I am, I said, letting pride and quiet satisfaction color my words. I'm rebuilding. I'm thriving. And you're not part of it anymore. Her face tightened. She opened her mouth, then closed it. She didn't argue. She couldn't. I saw Sophie behind her, arms crossed, biting her lip, frustrated that her plan to keep Lena in control was failing. Do you regret anything? She asked finally, cautiously. I chuckled softly, shaking my head. I'm not here to satisfy your guilt. I'm here to live my life. What you feel, that's yours. Her lips pressed into a thin line. She turned and walked away, and I felt an odd mix of triumph and relief. I wasn't cruel, but I was strategic. Karma, handled quietly, without my hands getting dirty. Later, Marcus leaned back in his chair. You're playing this well. Subtle power. You're not just moving on. You're rewriting the rules. That's rare. I'm done being a victim, I said. Done reacting. Now I act on my terms. And that's why she notices, he said. Every glance, every hesitation from her, it's proof you're in control. Keep it up. I thought about Lena, about every time she had thought she had the upper hand. Now she was watching me thrive, powerless to touch what I was building. It wasn't revenge. It was survival, evolution. That night, I updated my profile with another photo, me laughing with Alex at a gallery opening. I knew Lena would see it. I didn't post to spite her, but to remind myself that my life was mine again. Sophie messaged me. She's obsessed. You're winning, I didn't reply. I didn't have to. The power shift was complete. Lena's curiosity, Sophie's frustration, it wasn't my job to comment. It was proof enough that the scales had tilted. I leaned back, eyes on the ceiling, and let a small, satisfied smile creep across my face. For the first time since her betrayal, I felt untouchable. And I realized something crucial. This was only the beginning. The transformation I'd undergone wasn't just about her. It was about me reclaiming my life, my choices, my power, and no one, no Lena, no Sophie, no one could take. I first noticed it during a team meeting. Lena's name came up in a conversation about the new project she was managing. Her team was behind, deadlines missed, and the client was frustrated. I felt a pang in my chest, a mix of guilt and satisfaction. I shouldn't enjoy it, I told myself, but I couldn't help it. Looks like she's struggling, Ryan muttered beside me, nodding toward the screen showing the missed milestones. I see that, I replied quietly. Keeping my tone neutral, Ryan leaned closer. Don't let this consume you. Karma's one thing, but dwelling on it, that'll ruin you too. I know, I said, though part of me wanted to watch. Just a little. Just to see her realize the consequences of her choices. Later that evening, I checked social media. Lena had posted a glamorous photo of herself smiling, pretending nothing was wrong. But the comments told a different story. People were noticing mistakes, errors, and cracks in her professional image. I couldn't suppress a small smirk. You shouldn't take pleasure in this, Rachel said when I mentioned it during our call. I'm not taking pleasure, I said defensively. I'm observing, learning, seeing cause and effect, Rachel sighed. Just remember you're better than bitterness. Don't let her mistakes define your actions. Focus on your life, your growth. I said. I am growing. But it's satisfying to see that the world isn't ignoring her choices either. Alex texted me later, her words direct as always. Don't get lost in revenge. You've come too far. I know, I whispered to myself, but it's hard not to notice when she's crumbling. The next day, I ran into her at a local cafe. She looked different, more rigid, tense, eyes darting. She didn't see me at first. I watched as she attempted to order, fumbling with her wallet, annoyed by the barista. It was petty, but every stumble felt like a reflection of the instability she'd sown in her own life. She caught my gaze eventually. Her eyes widened. She smiled, that practiced smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. I didn't approach. I just nodded once, acknowledging her presence but maintaining distance. Sophie appeared behind her, whispering something sharply. Lena's shoulders tensed. Sophie frowned, clearly frustrated by Lena's lack of control over the moment. "Everything okay?" I heard Sophie snap quietly. Lena bit her lip, saying nothing. The air between them crackled. I felt the quiet thrill of watching someone finally realize that not everyone bends to them. I left the cafe and called Ryan. She's unraveling," I said quietly. "Good," he said flatly. "But focus on yourself. Remember what we talked about? Don't let this become your obsession." "I'm not obsessed," I said. "I'm aware. I need to see the bigger picture," Rachel called a few hours later. "I'm proud of how you're handling this," she said. "You're not retaliating blindly. You're observing, learning, controlling your emotions. That's strength." "I hope so," I admitted. "But I feel strange, watching her struggle like this. Part of me feels vindicated, but another part feels guilty." "That's normal," Rachel said softly. "It means you still have empathy. Don't lose that. You can experience satisfaction without letting it turn into cruelty." I paused, thinking about Alex's words, about Rachel's advice, and the small victories that weren't really victories. Lena's life was falling apart in subtle, natural ways. Missed deadlines, whispers in her office, a sense of instability creeping into her carefully curated life. I didn't intervene. I just watched. Later that night, I walked through the city with Alex. "You're carrying something heavy," she said, glancing at me. "Are you still holding on to her?" "Maybe a little," I admitted. "It's complicated. I don't want to hurt her, not directly. But I can't deny a sense of satisfaction, seeing the consequences of her actions. That's normal," she said. "But you have to decide what comes next. Revenge won't make you happy forever. Moving on, creating your life, that will." "I know," I said, voice low. "But letting go feels impossible sometimes." Alex smiled faintly. "Then don't let go yet. Just don't let it control you. You can observe without becoming her. You're better than that." We walked in silence for a while, the city lights reflecting off the wet pavement. I thought about Lena, about Sophie, about every choice that had led her to this point. And I realized the moral dilemma I faced. Do I continue quietly watching, letting karma play out, or do I forgive truly and let go of the satisfaction I felt? Ryan's voice echoed in my mind. "Focus on your life. Don't let her define you." And I knew he was right. I could feel the temptation of revenge tugging at me. But I also felt something else. Strength, clarity, the power to choose my next steps consciously. I glanced at my phone. A message from Alex glowing, "You're doing the right thing. Keep living for yourself." I exhaled, letting a small, steady calm wash over me. Lena's life was unraveling, yes. But my life, my growth, my choices, my resilience was still mine. That was the real victory, and for the first time in months I felt like I could breathe freely, knowing that karma was in motion without me having to touch it, and that my own path was finally clear. I was sitting at the cafe, sipping coffee and scrolling through emails, when I saw her. Lena, standing awkwardly at the entrance, eyes flicking around until they landed on me. My stomach tightened, but I didn't get up. I waited, letting her make the first move.
"Can we talk?"
she asked, voice tentative. I didn't answer immediately. I just studied her. The woman I thought I knew, the one who betrayed me, looked smaller somehow, uncertain, stripped of the arrogance that once made her untouchable. "You have a lot to say," I said finally. My voice calm but heavy. She nodded, biting her lip. "I know. I've made mistakes, huge ones. And I'm sorry, truly. Sorry?" I repeated, feeling the weight of every sleepless night, every anxious thought, every piece of my trust she shattered. "Do you even understand what you did? Every lie, every secret, every time you thought I wouldn't notice?" "I do," she said softly, almost whispering. I wasn't thinking. You weren't thinking?" I leaned forward, hands gripping the table. You weren't thinking. Lena, you destroyed what we had. You humiliated me and you laughed, or at least pretended to be happy while I stopped myself, breathing hard. While I was falling apart, she flinched. I know, and I regret it every single day. Stop, I said, voice shaking but steady. Stop trying to explain. There's nothing left to explain. You lied. You cheated. You broke me. And now, I exhaled sharply. Now you see me thriving, moving on. And you hate it, don't you? Her eyes widened. You don't get to interrupt, I said. I need to say this. Watching you now, realizing that you lost me, it's not satisfying the way I thought it would be. It's complicated. Because part of me feels the justice I wanted, yes. But another part, I paused, voice low. Another part is tired. Tired of caring what you think. Tired of being angry. Tired of being tied to someone who betrayed me completely. She stared at me, tears brimming. I can't fix this, can I? No, I said quietly. And I don't want to. I've built a life that doesn't need you in it. That's the real victory, not seeing you fall or fail. The real victory is realizing that I'm still standing. Stronger, smarter, free. She nodded, swallowing hard. I should have never... I was selfish. You were, I said bluntly. And that's not going to change. But you need to understand something. I don't hate you. I don't even think about revenge anymore. That part of me is gone. What I have now is clarity. And you... I leaned back, exhaling slowly. You're just a part of my past, nothing more. Her lips trembled. Do you forgive me? I stared at her for a long moment, the question hanging in the air. I felt a flash of the old anger, but it didn't dominate me anymore. I felt the strength of every decision, every step I'd taken since discovering her betrayal. I don't know if I can forgive you, I said honestly. Maybe someday. But right now, I shook my head gently. I don't need to. I don't need your forgiveness? I've forgiven myself for being naive, for trusting you blindly, and that's enough. She blinked, tears slipping down her cheeks. No more words, I said, holding up a hand. You've said enough. I've heard enough. And now, I move forward. Without you. Without the lies. Without the guilt or regret dragging me down. That's my choice. She nodded silently, defeated. I could see the weight of realization pressing down on her. For the first time, she understood that what she lost couldn't be reclaimed, and no apology would ever change that. I looked out the window, feeling a strange lightness I hadn't felt in months. The anger, the pain, the obsession, they were all behind me. Alex's advice, Rachel's guidance, Ryan's support, they all made sense now. The journey wasn't about hurting Lena, it was about reclaiming myself. I hope you find your own path, I said finally, voice soft but firm. And I hope you learn from this. That's all I can offer. She nodded again, silently, and turned to leave. I didn't watch her go. My eyes stayed fixed on the street outside, the world moving on just like I was. I felt the warmth of freedom settle in my chest. I didn't need closure from her. I had closure in myself. Every lie she told, every betrayal, every sleepless night had brought me here, to a place where I was stronger, smarter, and ready for whatever came next. And as she disappeared around the corner, I realized the truth. The final act of growth wasn't revenge, and it wasn't forgiveness. It was simply moving forward, untouched by her choices, uncontrolled by her mistakes, free. I took a deep breath, leaned back, and smiled quietly to myself. For the first time in a long... The morning sunlight hit my apartment just right, streaming across the floor and landing on the small plants I'd started caring for. I smiled at them, a simple reminder that growth takes patience, a lot like me. Morning, Alex, I said when she arrived for our weekly coffee catch-up. Hey, she replied, grinning. You look different. Happier. I am, I admitted, pouring my coffee. I'm not perfect. I still think about the past sometimes, but it doesn't hurt the way it used to. That's progress, she said, raising her mug. You're finally living for yourself, not for her, not for anyone else. I nodded. I've learned that the only person whose approval matters is mine, and maybe a few people I actually trust. Marcus popped his head into the apartment through the open door. You ready for the presentation later? The new clients are excited to meet you. I'm ready, I said. There was no hesitation in my voice, no doubt. Just confidence born from months of rebuilding, from taking control of my own life. "You've changed," Marcus said quietly, stepping inside. "Not just in business, in everything. It's noticeable. People notice it, and it works in your favor." I smiled faintly, thinking about how far I'd come. The betrayals, the heartbreak, the sleepless nights. They had all shaped me, but they didn't define me anymore. Later, walking through the park, I spotted Lena in the distance. She looked the same, yet smaller somehow. I didn't approach, didn't even think about her in any possessive way. I simply observed, acknowledging that she existed in the world I had left behind. "Funny," I said aloud to no one in particular. "She's still out there, living, but her choices don't touch me anymore." Alex nudged my shoulder. "Let's keep walking. You're free to live your life without ghosts haunting you." We sat on a bench, talking and laughing about work, about books, about trivial things that mattered. I realized how good it felt to be fully present, to be unchained by anger, to not let betrayal dictate my emotions. That night, I returned, home. The apartment quiet except for the faint hum of the city outside. I picked up a photo from the shelf, the one Lena had given me from our trip. I held it for a moment. "She's part of my past," I whispered, "but she doesn't get to define my present." I carefully placed the photo back, not hiding it, not throwing it away, just acknowledging it, accepting that it existed without giving it power. Ryan called later. "How's it going? Life feeling more yours?" I laughed softly. "Yes, more than ever. I'm surrounded by people I trust, doing work I'm proud of. I'm happy. Not just pretending, really happy." "That's good," he said. "You've earned this." "I have," I said, thinking of every decision I'd made to reclaim myself, every step of growth, every moment I refused to be controlled by bitterness, every relationship I nurtured that was healthy and real. Alex's voice came over the phone later. "You're glowing, seriously, and it's not just about how you look, it's your energy. People notice it." I smiled, leaning back against the couch. It feels good, being free from the past. Knowing that betrayal didn't destroy me, it just made me stronger. I guess that's the ultimate revenge. Alex laughed softly. "Maybe, or maybe it's just life doing what life does, letting people learn, grow, and move forward." I agreed. Maybe that's better than revenge. Because this is real. This is mine. The city lights flickered through the window, the hum of life outside blending with the quiet warmth inside. I realized I had rebuilt everything Lena had tried to undermine: my confidence, my trust in myself, my sense of purpose. "Cheers," I said quietly to the apartment, to myself, to the life I'd reclaimed, to growth, to freedom, to everything I've earned and everything I'll continue to build. And for the first time in a long time, I felt completely at peace. Lena's memory lingered, yes, but it didn't hurt. It was a reminder of what I had survived, of what I had learned, and of how far I had come. I took a deep breath, leaning back in my chair, the weight of the past finally lifted. My life was mine again. Fully, irrevocably, and beautifully mine. I often catch myself thinking about the past, not with bitterness but with clarity. Lena, Sophie, the lies, the betrayal, they're all parts of my story, but they no longer define me. I see them as lessons, hard and unforgiving, yet necessary. Ryan still checks in, as loyal as ever. He teases me about my revenge glow, but I know he's proud of how I handled everything. Rachel? She continues to guide me, a voice of reason in moments when I second-guess myself. And Alex. She's a constant challenge and support, pushing me to grow emotionally and intellectually. She's a reminder that connection can be healthy, even after heartbreak. Sometimes I wonder where Lena is, what she's thinking, if she's reflecting at all. But I don't dwell. I don't stalk her life or hold on to resentment. Observing. Her struggles from afar taught me something vital. The world has a way of balancing itself, and I don't need to interfere. Karma works quietly, efficiently, without my hand in it. I've rebuilt my life in ways I never imagined during those dark nights. My career thrives, my relationships are real, and I've learned to trust my instincts again. Trusting myself has become more important than trusting anyone else blindly. That lesson was brutal, but invaluable. Sometimes I catch myself smiling at small things, a text from Alex, a joke with Marcus, a call from Rachel. I feel a quiet strength in those moments, a reminder that happiness doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. It's subtle, steady, and entirely earned. I've learned to recognize the signs of deceit now, but I've also learned the power of letting go. Holding on to anger, plotting revenge, it doesn't serve me. Observing and learning, choosing my own path, that's what counts. Lena's memory, though painful once, has become a marker of how far I've come. She reminds me that love can be both beautiful and destructive, that trust is fragile, and that resilience isn't found in comfort but in facing the worst and choosing to rise anyway. I think about the apartment we shared, the gifts, the trips, the small details that once carried weight. They no longer haunt me. I've reclaimed them as symbols of survival rather than loss. Each object, each memory tells me, I endured, I grew, I won. Not against her, but for myself. Life is quieter now, but more meaningful. I feel present in a way I never did before. Every choice I make is mine, unshadowed by betrayal or regret. And that freedom, that control, is more satisfying than any fleeting revenge could have been. Sometimes I whisper to myself, almost like a mantra, I survived, I grew, I am whole, and it's true.